All right, good morning, everybody. What's up? What's going on? Welcome to my channel, and we're going to dive right into today's conversation. Before I do that, uh, I really like my little theme song, my opening song for this podcast. It has a way of kind of getting me up, getting me rolling, getting me in the mood to talk, and that mindset, the place where I need to be at to try to engage the audience. So, you all, let me know what you think um, down there in the comment section, if you will. Excuse me. Hope everybody's doing good this morning, this afternoon, midday, and into the evening and into the night, depending on where you're at, rolling around, Mr. Sun. A Beavis and Butthead type scheme. um, I would be interested in knowing what you all think about the thumbnail that I created with the help of CapCut, that application. That is a good application, by the way. I'm really enjoying it, learning it, using it. And I find it very helpful, especially the AI piece, being able to take my ideas and what I want to create and, kind of give me some outcomes there with it and some additional ideas. So going over there to CapCut and try CapCut, they have a pretty decent, affordable package over there. I'm quite sure that you'll find it worthwhile. So let me know down in the comment sections what you think about the thumbnail for this particular video, as well as the other videos that are there. If you all can tell, I'm trying to, really pump up, beef up my production and the content to try to get this channel going and to build it up. So your support, your subscriptions, your likes, those are helpful. Even if you don't agree with the content or something that was presented in there, I am open to comments, your honest opinion on it. As long as you don't get too nasty down in the comment section, we good, okay? Because we all have a First Amendment right. All right, in any event, let's move forward. Beavis and Butthead type scheme. Now, most of my audience, I believe, are adults, 18 or older. But now, how many of y'all remember this series, Beavis and Butthead? Now, Beavis and Butthead, this is an MTV series. And I remember it because it was during the early 90s. I remember that period of time when they came out, and it was originally written for MTV. For some reason, I'm thinking that they might have made their way over to um, Fox, over to that network at some point in time, going into mainstream. But now, don't quote me on that. I have to go look it up, and I'm not going to do that right now. But in any event, I do know that they were on MTV, kind of like behind that wall there, the paid wall, where you had to have like a cable subscription or a satellite subscription. Uh, and likely, it was due to the nature of these characters, how they were written. If you're familiar with them, their characteristics were that of being, dumb. Not calling anybody dumb, but this was the characters, Beavis and Butthead. Uh, they were written as dumb, doing dumb stunts, such as the one here, the Ding Dong Ditch, and I remember that one. Uh, Dumb, crass, crude, um, ugly in a sense and a nature, thoughtless, sexist. What's some other ones? Self-destructive. When you watch them or when you reference them, you kind of think about them. I know I think about that movie, Dumb and Dumber, and I think that they might have. Okay, they might have pulled a little bit of inspiration from Beavis and Butthead. Now, contrary to popular opinion, uh, Beavis and Butthead, they were actually pretty popular. And at that time, going back into the 90s, because that's going into my era of high school, just beginning that, or coming off of middle school, somewhere in there. Now, their target audience would have been youth, right? It would have been young adolescents, teenagers at that time, who primarily, ideally, would have found them funny, would have found them interesting. But also, some adults, your adolescents, and even older adults, I know, found them funny. They had to have appealed to a wide audience because they managed to have done 8 seasons. I don't know if they're still running there or not. They probably have something maybe in syndication, or you can go and you can find it on Paramount. But they were, excluding all the other characteristics that I labeled. They could be funny and humorous in that kind of like, dang, I can't believe that these characters really just did that. Really, y'all running around doing this type of stuff? Y'all ringing people's doorbells and running off, and you said this, you said that. That was the type of stuff that these characters were known for doing. They were known for plotting, like, silly stuff, insinuous stuff, um, and the sort, right? Now, the flip side to it for me is when I remember when the Columbine situation happened, the Columbine shooting happened, that was something else, because I was in high school at that point, and I remember that and a lot of things that were going on around that. And the perpetrators of that event were Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. I remember that very well. This was like right around the time when Scream 1, let me think, Scream 1? Yeah, Scream 1 had been done, and then they were getting ready to go into Scream 2, and there was a lot of controversy behind even rolling that out, because they were trying to relate some of that stuff possibly to, movies, and it having its influence on youth at that time, and, on down the line. But I do remember likening the Columbine shooters, Eric and Dylan, to these character types of Beavis and Butthead, unfortunately. Not saying that was the idea of the writers. I don't believe that, but that's the type that came up in my head, right? Okay. So enough about them. I want to take them down. Let me take them down. And then I want to bring up some real life types. Give me 1 second. Let's share our screen. Up. There we go. All right. Now, before I get into this story, okay, let's be clear, and let's put this disclaimer out there. In the justice system in America, the American justice system, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. These two individuals have not been proven guilty in a court of law as of yet, since my check as of yesterday, but they are suspects in a situation, in a plot, and in a scheme. And this is actually being held at the federal level. Okay. All right. So we got to continue to watch this and see how this is going to play out. But we have here Gavin Weisenberg, I would say, or Gavin Weisenberg. And then we have Tanner Thomas. Okay. Now, immediately when I saw this story, when it came down my feed and I looked at it, this is where I got the reference back to Beavis and Butthead. And I thought, oh my God, Beavis and Butthead types in 3D. Okay. Now, let's get into some of this foolishness that has come out about these two. Now, apparently, these two are allegedly being accused of plotting a murder and kidnapping scheme over in a country, or not a country, but an island off of Haiti, out of all places. I found it to be very, very interesting. When I read it, when I read the indictment, I found it interesting because I said, you know what, this is like Jim Jones-esque to me all over again when I was reading the information. So I want to put up the press release. No, I don't. I don't want to go there yet. What I want to do is I want to go to the clip. I want to go to the news clip right quick. So let's do that. Let's take them off the screen right quick. And then we're going to go to the YouTube clip and watch it for a little bit. Okay, let me put them up on the screen. And bam, there we go. Okay. Let me move on around there. Okay. All right. So this is a clip from WUSA 9 in relation to this investigation. So let's watch it and then we'll talk about it a little bit because I don't want this to be too long at all. Let's go.
Miller, we want to warn you that this next story contains details that are rather disturbing and may not be appropriate for young audiences. 2 Texas men have been charged in connection with allegedly plotting to invade a Haitian island, murdering the men there, using the women and children as sex slaves. Authorities say that the 2 were also planning to recruit people experiencing homelessness here in the district to help them with their plot. And there's also an alleged connection to Joint Base Andrews right here at home. John Duran has been looking over all of these court documents all day long. John, no doubt some very wild and rather disturbing allegations there.
Yeah, serious allegations, Larry. 21-year-old Gavin Weisenberg and 20-year-old Tanner Thomas are facing federal charges, including conspiracy to murder, maim, or kidnap in a foreign country. If convicted, that carries a sentence up to life in prison.
The U.S. Attorney's Office out of Texas's Eastern District says over the course of about a year, Tanner Thomas and Gavin Weisenberg plan to invade Gonave Island, a territory of the Republic of Haiti. Court documents filed Thursday show Thomas and Weisenberg allegedly planned to take the island by force, murder all the men on the island, which has a population of about 87,000 people, and carry out their rape fantasies by turning the remaining women and children into sex slaves. Investigators say the 2 plan to buy a sailboat to travel from the United States to Gonave Island. They also plan to purchase military-style rifles to use in their coup. According to court documents, in January of this year, Thomas enlisted in the Air Force to gain military training to help carry out the attack. Officials say in February 2025, while in basic training, Thomas had himself reassigned from Ramstein Air Base in Germany to Joint Base Andrews here in Prince George's County. Court documents say he did this to be closer to D.C., so he could allegedly recruit people experiencing homelessness to be part of their plot. In August 2024, Weisenberg allegedly enrolled in the North Texas Fire Academy to get trained in command and control protocols. Court documents show Weisenberg failed out of the academy in February 2025. Afterwards, Weisenberg allegedly traveled to Thailand to enroll in sailing school, but didn't follow through with it because the training was too expensive. Investigators say the 2 suspects also studied Haitian Creole to help facilitate their armed coup plot.
On top of those allegations, federal prosecutors allege at some point during their plan to overthrow Gonave Island, Thomas and Weisenberg also coerced a minor to be in a child pornography that they filmed. They face 15 to 30 years in prison if convicted of that offense, Larry.
All right.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So now I want to go to, let's do this. Let me go back, take this off the screen because I want to go to a press release that I saw. Let me take them down. And then let me share this with you. Okay. Let's add it. Okay, there we go. So you should be able to see this press release. from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Texas. Now, in this press release, they give the age of both of these young men. Weisenberg is 21, and then Tanner is 20. So now you mean to tell me that these two individuals had nothing else going on in their life? They had no higher aspirations to be of being productive citizens. At that age, you should have been somewhere in college, receiving a higher education, or maybe you're going to try to go into the service, to serve your country in a certain way, right? But the two of you sitting around plotting. This is what's coming up in your mind. This is what's coming up in your head. You're plotting to go and to go over to an island, a foreign place over there in Haiti. And your idea that you allegedly conceived is that with the help of some homeless people that you're going to recruit out of the District of Columbia up in Washington, D.C., you're going to recruit these men with the intent of taking a boat and going over to an island off of Haiti. You're going to murder or get rid of all of the men there with the intent of taking control of the island and taking the women and children as slaves into your custody. And ideally, you're going to make the women sex slaves. This is what's coming up in your head, what's coming up in your mind. Interesting. This is why I liken it to a Beavis and Butthead type scheme. I want to read some of this press release here. And this was back in November of this year. Okay, so going down here, it says information presented in court indicates that between August of 2024 up through July of 2025, Weisenberg and Thomas are alleged to have conspired to recruit and lead an unlawful expeditionary force to the island of Genève, which is part of the Republic of Haiti. And if anybody knows anything about Haiti, and I'm going to get into a little bit of that, you know that Haiti is a poor country, and you know that Haiti is predominantly occupied by people who are Black, whose ancestors were slaves. That's why I said that it has that air of Jim Jones to it for me. Excuse me. And you don't know who Jim Jones was? I didn't know who Jim Jones was until I really went back and studied the history on it. I used to hear people saying all the time, "Hey, don't drink the Kool-Aid," and I didn't know what that reference was about. I was kind of green, excuse me, at that time. I didn't understand what they was talking about until I asked. Sometimes we don't know a thing or we don't understand it except that we ask. So I asked, and then I went to go research it, and I found that out. So this has a little flair to it, right? Okay. But let's continue. And they were planning to go over to the island of Genève over there in Haiti for the purpose of carrying out their great fantasies. I'm going to use that word there because YouTube, don't like some of these type of terms. Weisenberg and Thomas planned to purchase a sailboat, firearms, and ammunition, then recruit members of the District of Columbia area homeless population, right? Because see, you feel like they're vulnerable, and as though they don't know or they can't think, they can't perceive, right? And now, truth be told, research does let us know that our homeless population is, the most vulnerable population given their circumstances. But these two conspired allegedly to go and recruit men, from out of their population to serve as a mercenary force as they invaded Ganav Island and staged a coup. Weisenberg and Thomas intended to murder all of the men on the island so that they could then turn all of the women and children into, slaves of sort. Weisenberg and Thomas undertook numerous overt acts in furtherance of their invasion plan, including making operational and logistical plans, learning Haitian Creole language, recruiting others to join the invasion plan, and researching and enrolling in schools to acquire skills relevant to the invasion plan. Now, see, here's my thing. They've been recently indicted on this. I feel like there's too much information. Now, you talk about the federal government is involved in there. There's too much evidence there, right? That's going to support these charges or that's going to support this accusation. I mean, elaborate plans, elaborate. This is how their brains allegedly are working. Thomas even enlisted in the U.S. Air Force to acquire military skills relevant to the invasion plan. And then this right here really, this part here really grabbed my attention. Weisenberg and Thomas are also charged with production of, child pornography in a related count in the indictment. And then we've got to also make sure that we set the disclaimer. Grand jury indictment is not evidence of guilt. All defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. Now, I want to go to, I'm going to take this down. Because I said last night as I was kind of researching, I've been looking at this over some time before I decided to really kind of come out and, do commentary on it. Let me put this up on the screen. Okay, there we go. All right, you can see that. So one of my thoughts was, okay, well now, what about Ganav Island, caught their attention, making them want to go over to that island, okay? So then I went and I did some research on Ganav Island, and this is an AI overview, but I did go in and look at some official records, by the way, okay? Now, the overview reads, the demographics of Ganav Island in Haiti are characterized by a growing population that faces significant economic hardship and limited infrastructure. So, excuse me, I take that to mean that they really don't have a government over there, and they really don't have resources over there on that particular island, which is going to make them vulnerable and make them prey in such schemes like this right here. The population is estimated to be around 100,000 to 120,000 residents. That number seems to fluctuate, in relation to migration from mainlands during times of crises. Let's see, I don't need to read about the density or the largest settlement. Let's go into the ethnicity and culture. Let's see. Residents are almost entirely of African descent, similar to that of Haiti, which that to me logically follows. Okay, languages there primarily spoken are French and Haitian Creole, and you heard in the clip from WUSA 9 that one of the suspects reportedly went to great lengths to try to learn French and Haitian Creole. Okay, let's get down into socioeconomic factors. La Gonave is considered extremely poor, even by Haitian standards, which that's saying a lot because Haiti is poor, and you heard about you hear about a lot of upheaval or uprising in government over there, right? Okay. Uh, and it's often described as the island that Haiti forgot. Wow, that's saying a lot. The economy is primarily based on subsistence farming, cattle raising, fishing. Okay, so what that means, if you know anything about subsistence farming, that particular term, that means that uh, people actually physically work the land, kind of like going back to the times of slavery in the U.S. There were people that physically worked plantations or physically worked lands to, produce things that people needed to survive or to live or to do commerce with. Um, it would surprise me that they're not doing that to, send back to Haiti or to send back to other countries. But that's their primary source of employment. Okay. The infrastructure there, the island suffers from severe under resourcing and the lack of basic infrastructure, including limited access to clean water, few latrines, and minimal government medical posts. That's a that's a big issue. This right here, minimal government posts. And I told you earlier that if this is true, this scheme that these two young men allegedly were plotting, then this island, they would have been ideal for their plot because there's little to no government representation there in security, right? Okay. Um, and I think that that's all that I need to read from that to kind of get my point across. So let me take them off the screen because we're getting ready to end this broadcast. Let me go back over here. There we go. Let me put them back up on the screen. Okay. So Beavis and Butthead types. I think that this title fits this situation. It fits the indictment. It fits the charge, and we're going to have to stay tuned and just follow this case and see where it goes, what the end of it is going to pan out to be. It is a federal case, and what I will do is I will attempt to follow it and keep you informed of it, either via post on the community wall and or if I come back and I do a recording. So, folks, to end out the conversation this morning, Beavis and Butthead types and schemes really do seem to exist in modern times. So Beavis and Butthead is not just characters, if you will, or animation, but they do seem to exist, unfortunately, in real life. Thanks for watching. And I'll talk to you again. Bye for now.